LEGO movie license themes. The thing that saved LEGO from bankruptcy back around the year 2000. If you're a fan of any of these, you've probably noticed some very strange inconsistencies within certain sets. For instance, Hey Hey looking like he got up on the wrong side of the tropical chicken coop, or the most boring generic armored truck turned into an awesome giant Mad Max looking Jeep, or even entire sets that were never even seen in movies they were supposedly released for. But one set that missed the mark on virtually every single one of the many aspects it featured is the Fountain of Youth from the fourth Pirates of the Caribbean movie on Stranger Tides. This movie has more holes in its script than Swiss cheese, but it's still enjoyable enough to give a loving little tongue-in-cheek critique of the LEGO set. And quick note, it's not the correct torso for Barbossa, it's the closest one I have. Shut up. Since we're on the subject of figs, this is the Blackbeard fig. First off, I love this figure. It's a perfect LEGO version of Blackbeard, but it's not a great version of the movie's version of Blackbeard. Which brings us to fault number 1. A. The beard. Of all the legends of Blackbeard, the most famous was his theatrics of tying lit candles into his beard to strike fear in his enemies and give them the impression that he was crazy, which he was. Unfortunately, the closest the movie gets to this fascinating little trivia is showing him with some barely smoking embers in his beard when we first see him hanging out in his own ship, and none at all later when he's actually facing his enemies. They're so subtle I didn't even notice them at all the first time I watched the movie. LEGO said, "Forget that, we're going full force," and gave him a quartet of fully ablaze candles swinging off his much fuller beard. The hat. I know LEGO needs to consolidate molds in the interest of expenses, but using the Davy Jones / Flying Dutchman hat doesn't seem like the most accurate choice. He clearly has a tricorn hat in the movie, and this split brim John is way off. Don't get me wrong, it still looks awesome, just not at all accurate to the movie. But why did they get it so wrong? Well, let's look at the art book for the movie. And specifically the concept art for Blackbeard. Wow, look at that dead ringer. In an effort to have sets come out alongside the theatrical releases of movies, LEGO is given concept art to design the sets off of, but sometimes these concepts get changed or taken out of the movie completely. Seemingly all the details that LEGO zeroed in on ended up getting drastically changed. I do have to say, A++ to the sword. Next we have the Chalices. The Chalices. The movie distinctly drives it home that they are silver.
Two silver chalices.
The silver chalices.
2 silver chalices.
Silver chalices.
And here we have... not silver. Oh, come on, I hear you say. The movie clearly shows that they have gold coloring too. Good point, but it's definitely a band of gold around a silver chalice. And we even see in the video game that they have a gold band around the top, with the primary color still being silver. Once again, if we look at the concept art, it seems the original design was to have gold chalices with some kind of fire band around the top. Interesting. The accessory. On the subject of accessories, we see a circular map lying at the foot of the fountain. This was part of the map seen in At World's End, but the circle version was a piece that Jack Sparrow had cut off and stolen from Barbossa at the end of the movie. Strange that the map would even be at the Fountain of Youth, the finale of the following movie, when it was destroyed by fire at the beginning of that movie. Are we getting pedantic? Yes, but that's the purpose of this video. This map is also seen in the Captain's Cabin set, leading us to believe that Blackbeard had possession of the map in an original draft of the script, maybe closer to the novel the movie was based off of that I didn't read. Either way, I'm glad to have it in both sets it came in, canonically or not, because it is a really cool piece. The other accessory. So Jack is seen with his trusty magical compass. Cool, another great piece to have, another piece that never saw the inside of the fountain chamber. Jack had given it to Gibbs earlier that day, when Gibbs and he had parted ways. Moving along, we arrive at the portal. The portal. LEGO set, a thin veil of water. Movie, a weird, gooey, reverse Galaxy Quest transporter. The only thing even close to the LEGO version I found in the book was this circular area. It uses 2 asymmetrical pillars, reminiscent of the Atlantis theme. The arch itself is full of rocky, dark earth tone pieces, and behind that is a very interesting single but split plastic piece representing a waterfall for the characters to walk through. The splits in the plastic make it easier for figures to pass through and also gives it a slightly imperfect look, lending to the idea that it is in fact water falling down and not just a tarp hanging. It is certainly interesting to think of what kind of design would have been implemented had LEGO been given the final idea for the ceiling portal in the movie. Finally, we arrive at the fountain itself. The fountain. The final fault. Once again, referencing the art book, the design team seems to have gone through a myriad of high detail ideas, starting with multiple plans for a more conventional fountain look, like the one we see in the set. Others seem to lend to the idea that water is oozing out of an almost sponge-like rock. And then we finally arrive at the strange circular design that is seen in the movie. Taking all of the aforementioned into consideration, I mocked up a fountain in all its cylindrical glory. I also swapped out Blackbeard's beard and hat for a more boring but more movie-accurate look. If we're going for total movie accuracy, we would also have to include Angelica in the chamber, since she was a pretty important part of it. Not to mention the zombies and the rest of Blackbeard's crew. Of course, if Barbossa is there, that means the King's army is there as well. We got one skeleton with the set, but the room actually had at least, well, a lot more than that, and since they were probably pirates, it's a good excuse to use these guys. And who could forget Serena's completely unbelievable plot-required appearance? Even though you pirates tortured me and left me for dead mere minutes ago, here I am at this very moment to deliver your plot device. Goodbye. And that's about it. Oh wait, the Spanish army, led by this sharp-looking fellow. I also made the room with the ceiling portal, but it's literally an empty cave, and I was bored of building by then anyway, so I just used 3 different kinds of pieces and called it a day. And that is a much more movie-accurate representation of the scene. $19.99. I think in the end we learned that although no one would know this set had any relation to the movie were it not for the name printed on the box, it is still a very well designed playset with top-notch figures, great accessories, and imaginative build techniques, which is really all that matters. Plus it gave me a reason to go back and watch the movie again to research this video. If you haven't seen it since it came out, you may be pleasantly surprised with the rewatch now that your expectations are tempered and you're expecting loopholes in the plot big enough to fit an entire ship through, and you finally realize there will never be a movie in the franchise that will even come close to the Curse of the Black Pearl. Just still stay away from Salazar's Revenge. In closing, all this movie studying was bringing attention to the fact that I never got a Queen Anne's Revenge. I had the Black Pearl. It's not assembled, but I have it displayed to flex on guests. But Blackbeard's ship was just way out of my budget. If only there was a way. Tune in next week to see if there's a way.
Beep beep, bye-bye.